In this video, we're going to take a look at simplifying surds. So to begin with here, let's take a look at adding and subtracting surds. So if I have something like root A plus root B, then we can actually add these together. And the reason for that is because the expression underneath the surd, in this case A and in this case B, they're different, okay? So we can only add or subtract similar surds or like surds, okay? And this is very similar to collecting like terms that we covered in the foundation part of the course. So be careful here. A common mistake is to say this is equal to the square root of A plus B. And generally speaking, that won't be true, okay? But we could simplify here. And again, the reason for that is because the expression underneath the surds are all the same. So if we simplify here, I've got 4 root x minus root x. So that's the same as minus 1 root x. So in that case, that would give me 3 root x. And then don't forget we've got plus 2 root x here. So if I've got 3 lots of root x and I add another 2 lots of root x together, then what I'm going to get here is 5 root x there. Okay, so like you can see, quite nice and straightforward, very, very similar to collecting like terms. Let's take a look now at multiplying surds. So if I've got something like, say, root A times root B, then this is the same as the square root of A times B. Okay, so this is true in this case. So if I want to simplify root 12 times root 3, well, that would be the square root of 12 times 3. So we're just using this rule here. We then do 12 times 3, so that would be 36. I get the square root of 36. Obviously, the square root of 36 is equal to 6 there. So like you can see, multiplying surds, quite nice and straightforward. Just remember this rule here. Expanding now brackets involving surds. So if we're expanding double brackets like this, we just use the same method that we covered earlier on. So we're going to use FOIL here. Okay, so FOIL. So I'm using FOIL here. Let's pick, let's work through this example here. So like I said, we're just using FOIL. So we do the first 2 terms in the bracket multiplied together. So 4 times 2. So the first term in each bracket multiplied together. That would give me 8. 4 times 2 gives me 8. Then we do the outside term, so that's going to be this 4 and this minus root 5. So 4 times minus root 5, well, that would give me minus 4 root 5. We then do root 5, so now we're doing the inside terms, so root 5 times 2, that would give me 2 root 5. And finally then we've got root 5 times minus root 5, so be very careful here. This will give us minus 5. Okay. What we need to do now is simplify here. So again, it's basically like just collecting like terms here. I've got A minus 5, so that will give me 3. And then we've got minus 4 root 5 plus 2 root 5. Well, what will that simplify to give us? Well, that would be minus 2 root 5. So we're just adding and subtracting surds there. So we get minus 2 root 5 there. Okay. So like you can see, when you're expanding double brackets with surds, nothing too complicated. We don't need a new method for it. We just use FOIL like we've done before for expanding double brackets. Taking a look now at dividing surds. So if I've got something like, say, the square root of A over the square root of B, well, in this case, what I'd get here, or what this is the same as, is the square root of A over B there. Okay, so we can use that now for this question here, where we're asked to simplify root 15 over root 5. Well, using this rule here, this is just the same then as the square root of 15 over 5. Well, 15 divided by 5, that's 3. So this is the same as the square root of 3 there. Okay, so that's how we would divide surds like that, or how we do division involving surds. And then finally, we just want to take a look now at how we simplify surds like this. So if I'm asked to express root 50 in the form a root 2, where a is an integer to be found, then what I need to do here is I need to think about how I split root 50 up involving a square number. And this root 2 here is a massive clue, because thinking about our rules of multiplication here, so root a times root b, that's the same as the square root of a times b. So it's basically coming back to this rule here. That root 2 tells us that that is one of the factors essentially here, so or it's one of the products that we're going to use. So I'm thinking about what I do, or what I multiply root 2 by to get root 50. Well, in that case, that would just simply be root 25. So root 50 is equal to the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. Okay, that's just what this rule here gives us. We're just using this rule. But we know the square root of 25 is equal to 5. That can be an integer. Okay, so that's equal to 5 root 2. So root 50 can be expressed as 5 root 2. In that case, we can see that A, this value here, is 5. And there we have it. So that brings us to the end of this video on simplifying surds. In the next video, we're going to take a look at rationalizing the denominator.